Australia is supposed to be the lucky country, but lately I'm thinking it's the unlucky country. The cost of living here is just grown to the level of absurdity where basically anyone who hasn't got a house now has got no hope of ever getting one. And talk about rents going through the roof and the level of migration, it's just absurd. I have no idea the stupidity on the decisions that are being made up at a higher level, but it's killing the economy and it's killing the country. Have you ever seen the movie Elysium? So the way things are going now reminds me very much of that movie. That's a movie about a future where the great majority of people are extremely impoverished and a small percentage of people are super elite and wealthy. And the wealthy basically just take advantage of the people in poverty. So that's the way I can see everything going. I mean, the future is very uncertain, especially for an older person. I have no idea what's going to happen to me in even a couple of years' time. If you look around the world, it seems like wars brewing everywhere. It looks like, all that trouble in the Middle East, and you got the trouble in Russia, and then you got China with their navy causing troubles. And then it looks like the US might be heading towards a civil war at any minute. So the whole world is in turmoil, and the interest rate keeps getting put up and up. And the government, I found here, has done a very good job of hiding the fact that we are in a recession. And the amount of migrants coming into this country is just absurd. It's unsustainable. There's so many migrants coming in that we just can't build enough houses to house them all, let alone the people that are living here already. So we got to the stage now where Australia is probably the second highest, if not the highest country in the world for the cost of living, and that's mostly real estate. I mean, real estate is just through the roof at the moment, and that's pushing rent up as well. And the occupancy rates in Australia are at all-time low, so it's almost 0%. So if you're not renting now and you're looking for a place, you've got almost zero chance of finding a place, which is going to force you to go live in a tent. You just have to drive around. Even where I live in Brisbane, you just have to drive around Brisbane or walk around some of the parks. You can see people living in little tents, in parks and near walkways and things like that. They've got a big settlement of them in the CBD. Went for a small drive up near Kilcoy a few weeks ago, and there's a whole big colony of tent dwellers there as well. Times are getting tough all round, except for a small minority. Did you know that 25% of all the rental properties in Australia are actually owned by 1% of the population, or foreign investors? I'm not sure which, but it's just the 1% of people. So those people are getting extremely wealthy. And don't forget, our politicians all have property portfolios. Do you think they're going to do anything to fix this situation? Or do you think they're more interested in profiting for their own personal gains? So I'm guessing it'll be the latter rather than the former. And then there's all this drama that the media has been creating for the last 5 years or so. We got the global warming, which is now called climate change. We've got this pandemic going around, and they're trying to make it unfashionable to eat meat as well. They're trying to turn everyone into vegan, and if you go down the supermarket, you see all these weird meats and cheeses were actually not meat and cheese, it's some artificially made stuff. So there's a whole plethora of misinformation going around at the moment, trying to put doubt into people's minds. To me, I think a lot of this is a distraction to get away from the real problem, which is the division of wealth. And the standard of living for everyone is dropping rapidly. So my personal opinion is I think in a number of years, the first world and the third world countries are going to merge, and everyone is going to be a second world country. So that's how I see this playing out, because half the third world people will be in first worlds, the first world people won't be able to afford to live in their own country anymore, so they'll be migrating to third world countries. So then basically you got all races living in all countries all over the place. So eventually everything's going to even out, I think. So I'm going to grab my camera and I'm going to walk around. I'm going to show you how much properties are in my local area. I'm going to try and sneak into the butchers and the fruit markets and show you how much those goods are. So another factor that people are probably not aware of, rent is going up a lot, astronomically. But guess who else pays rent? Businesses. So if businesses' rents have gone up by 30% in the last couple of years, just like, how do you think that's going to reflect on the price? The price of everything's going to go up a lot. So you've got a flow-on effect. So this small amount of people profiting from asking high amounts of rent for mortgages that are 20 years old are now shooting themselves in the foot because the cost of goods and services has gone up in accordance with the amount of rent. I mean, you just have to have a look at how much it costs to build a house now. That's gone up 30% in just a couple of years. And pretty much everything else has gone up 30%. So, and I think a lot of that reflects back to the rent going up and property going up. What I want to know is, when is some politician going to have the balls to actually do something about this? Or are they just going to pretend and just let it work itself out? So anyhow, I'll grab my camera and let's have a look around. This is one of the more upmarket streets in the suburb. Most of these houses here are original houses, but the trend is now to divide them up into tiny little blocks, and the new elite property owners, they're all building gigantic two-story houses on these tiny little blocks, which end up having no backyard. See, those are not original houses. So we're having a look at rental properties. So as you can see here, the very first house that's come up is $1,250 a week to rent. Looks like a nice house, but that's quite expensive for something you're just renting. Okay, now we've got another one at $710 a week for a 3-bedroom house. And now we've got units, 1-bedroom units from $410 a week. 1 bathroom, 1 car garage. They call these micro units over here, so it's only one person who's actually allowed to live in it. They're so small. So looks like a regular house here, $895 a week. $625 a week for a 2-bedroom house. Here it's $600 a week for, looks like a bottom half of a house. So you've got 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. Okay, let's have a look at the lowest rents. Okay, so for 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom is $400 a week. Looks like no car parking. And then it just goes up from there. So yeah, 400 is the very minimum for a little dog box, basically. And the most expensive ones, 1,200, 1,100, 1,050. So that's almost, some of these are approaching 5,000 a month just for renting. So highest priced townhouse is 730 a week, 860 a week, 850 a week. I mean, look at these townhouses. They're tiny. Sure, they've got 4 bedrooms, but they're probably 4 bedrooms that you couldn't even swing a cat in. It'd be tiny little rooms, probably not much bigger than a toilet. I mean, who can afford $830 a week? You would need a couple to be working there, both working without any chance of losing their job. So this is just depressing looking at this. Okay, so let's see how much houses cost now in this area. So this is just a regular suburb. It's not the most expensive and it's not the cheapest. So it's probably it's probably above average price. So it looks like the cheapest places are approaching 500,000, and they're for that's for units that actually don't own any real estate. I mean, look at this skinny little property. Managed to fit 4 bedrooms in there. 800,000. I noticed a trend that a lot of places actually don't put the price on there anymore. I guess they're just too embarrassed to show the public the ridiculous prices they're asking for these old houses. I know I would be embarrassed. Imagine the commission these people are making on these houses. Yeah, for sale, for sale, for sale. That says embarrassed, too embarrassed, too embarrassed, too embarrassed. I feel bad asking this much money. Oh, here we go, 1.2 million for a 3-bedroom house. And I bet this is a normal house, if it's in the suburb I live in. Be a normal 100-plus-year-old house. There's 1.375 million, 1.45 million. Oh, 1.6 million. Anyway, there's no way most people could afford that. So now I'm looking at the cheapest property in all of Queensland. So, and here it is. It's $11,000 and it's 500 metres. And so the place called Jericho. I actually had to look it up where it was. And it really, truly is in the middle of nowhere. Like in central Queensland going towards Mount Isa, if I remember. So looks like Mount Isa is the second cheapest. This is definitely semi-arid country. Yeah, so have a look where this is located, Jericho. See, there's Longreach over there. That's probably the hottest part in Queensland. So I think routinely they can get up to the high 40s in summer. So it's going to be burning hot in summer. Almost no rainfall. And you only got 500 metres of land. But I guess it's affordable. I guess that's one thing. Okay, this is probably the cheapest acreage now. 110,000 for 34 hectares. So that's actually not a bad price. 34 hectares is approaching 100 acres. But I've actually been out in that area and you don't want to live there. It's very flat, easily floods. You get 1 or 2 inches of rain, it just floods everywhere. The soil is, they call it a clay pan soil. So it's like concrete when it's dry and it's like quicksand when it's wet. You can't grow anything there, which is why it's all forested and people don't have livestock on their property because grass doesn't really grow on it. And the sort of people you get working out there, probably less than desirable. I remember once when I was younger, I had a look out there and the neighbour come out with a shotgun, wondering what I was doing looking at the property next door. And then he told me, then he excused himself, oh sorry, I didn't know you were looking. And then he sort of warned me that we better get going because his son gets out of prison today and he's coming home. So I was thinking, I'm not going to live next door to someone like that. So I left and never went back. See, this place here is 30,000 and it says there 1 bathroom. There's the bathroom. It's a toilet out in the open. Isn't that a joke? I guess technically it does have a bathroom if you don't mind taking a leak out in the open. Oh, now here's one that's a resemblance of an actual real house. So 56,000 on a 1,000-metre block. It looks like it's a incomplete house. It's only partially built. I've looked up the locations for these houses and they're also in the middle of nowhere, in tiny little towns. Somewhere you would have no hope of getting a job. So 1-bedroom place, 70,000. Also in the middle of nowhere. I've noticed they don't want to show you pictures inside. I'm guessing there's probably absolutely nothing inside at all. There's probably not even any plumbing or electricals or anything. It's just someone cemented up some blocks and put a roof on it. Probably hasn't got council permission either. But yeah, it is what it is. See, in Australia, a lot of these country councils, they don't really care what you build. So it's not like the city where they got very strict rules about what you can grow and you need permission to do everything. You even need permission to cut down a tree in the city now. So let's see where this is. Looks like it's west of Townsville, on the way to Mount Isa, also very hot area, semi-arid. Okay, so let's have a look at this juicy home. I love that yellow wall. Oh, it's I don't know what the hell you would call that. It's not a container. Looks like a portable house or something. I love the condition of that floor. Looks like it's had water damage and it's all starting to lift up. I suppose it's something to live in. Load of batteries there. I guess that's something to live in while you're actually building a house. Yeah, so all you people getting close to retirement, this is the sort of place you can look at moving to. Doesn't that make you feel good? Now look at this one. This is the biggest joke yet. They're actually selling a part of a street. And I had a look at the price, it's $399,000 for a part of road. Isn't that hilarious? You imagine paying that much for a road? So it looks like it's part of an old road which they're going to dig up and then turn into land. So, and look at the frontage, 7.5 meters. That's what, like 25 feet? So a 25-foot wide property. So you're going to have a very skinny house to build on there. You can see here the eggs are $11 to $14 a dozen. And here's the price of seafood, $57 a kilo for salmon. You see most of the meats here range from about $30 a kilo up to $60 or $70 a kilo depending on what cut. So here's a fruit place, fruit veggies. So the prices here are much cheaper than meat. Mushrooms are pretty expensive. $10 a kilo for regular ones. Tomatoes, $7 a kilo. Carrots, $3 a kilo. Don't forget too that most of the vegetables they make now are all GMO. And here we are in the bottle shop. I mean, look at those prices. $100 to $350. Here's vodkas. They're all $70 plus. Some of them are over $100. Totally unaffordable, especially for an older person. I do drink alcohol. I'll show you which one I drink because it's basically the cheapest one you can buy. I mean, look at that, $80, $40. These are just the cures. So here are all the custom beers. I'm not sure if you know, but in Australia we've gone from the one brand of beer to we've got 1,000,001 custom beer brands now. And here they all are.